and it's being live streamed and recorded. Beautiful.
Yeah, the stream's cooking up.
Does streaming to Facebook mean it's public, like anyone can watch, or do they have to be part of
That
the
is correct.
group?
It is public.
Okay. Hi everyone.
Hi, Facebook. So cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and get going on this presentation, this assembly here. So let me just make sure I'm doing this correctly. And if I have done it correctly, you should see my screen now. It says Help Often, June 20th, 2021. That's today's date. And our assembly theme is Help Often. So, but yeah, hello and welcome to Sunday Assembly. This is Sunday Assembly Atlanta, a secular community without deity, dogma, or doctrine. We want to help everyone live better, help often, and wonder more in this one life that we know we have. And so we're so glad you're here. We are going to kick it off today the best way we know how, with some tunage. So Here Comes the Sun, performed by our very own Sunday Assembly Atlanta band. So here we go. Actually, I'm gonna back up because I know for a fact I did not click the share sound button, which you're supposed to do if you're privy. And so now,
So wise.
yes. So now I think I'm good. So, all right. Wrong screen. Oh,
Yes.
I'm sharing the wrong screen, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for bearing with me.
I liked your background though. I don't know what it was, but it was definitely styling.
Did you like all the photos and messiness?
I didn't talk.
Okay, is this the right screen now?
Yes,
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right,
we
good.
hear it.
Thanks. Okay. So Sunday Assembly Atlanta presents a ditty. I love it. A ditty by the Beatles. So here we go.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to the faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. 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 Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Here comes the sun, do-do-do-do. Here comes the sun, I say it's alright. It's alright.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Love it. Great job, Sunday Assembly Atlanta Band. A great way to kick off an assembly, I think. Here comes the sun. That's kind of how I feel as we get into the summer here and things are starting to open up again, you know, and I guess life is slowly returning to something considered normal. So yeah, but this month our assembly is called Help Often. That's our theme. And I think it's an important theme because, I mean, it's a part of our motto, right, at Sunday Assembly. And so it's really etched into who we are. And now that we are getting back into the world, you know, and physically connecting with each other again, I think it's a perfect opportunity to remind ourselves how much, you know, we can help those in need. And so, you know, I wrote down just some thoughts about Help Often and what it means to me. And this is kind of the first thing that I thought of, is that there's so many volunteering opportunities and nonprofit organizations in our area that, you know, I'll be highlighting later on. And then there's, you know, when we think about Help Often, that we can talk about the book drive donation that Sunday Assembly Atlanta organized in May. I'll mention about that. And we also nabbed the perfect speakers this month, the founders and directors of the Community Health Partnership Honduras, which is an NGO that provides medical services to people in need in Honduras. So it's just, you know, a good time for us to embrace the Help Often and kind of go from there. Paulina and I, we were working on this assembly this month, and our older daughter, Ala, got kind of inspired as well. And she actually asked if she could volunteer in an animal shelter during the summer, which I was like, you're 11. I don't think you can do that, but I guess they can. So it's pretty cool. And so we're in the process of setting that up, which is pretty cool. And but yeah, this is exactly why we joined, you know, an awesome community like this, is to meet people and to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And I just hope that this assembly, you feel the same, and that this assembly in particular might inspire you, and yeah, and that sort of thing. So so first up, we're actually going to start it off like we normally do with a reading. And so this month we're pleased to have Ashley Cobble. And if you're not aware, she has practice in this sort of thing, because Ashley is the leader of our Children's Storytime and Craft, which is a monthly event that we hold as part of our Sunday Assembly Atlanta Parents Group. And so, but yeah, in the spirit of Help Often, she's going to read Is There Really a Human Race by Jamie Lee Curtis and Laura Cornell. So take it away, Ashley. It's all yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So like Adam said, I'm reading Is There Really a Human Race? This is a children's book, and it is actually what we're reading this month. So each month at our Storytime and Craft, I choose a topic or theme that we're going to be doing, and then we do a craft around it. So I couldn't decide what to do this month. So I was talking to Paulina, and she was like, why don't you just do the Help Often, since we're doing that in Sunday Assembly? And I was like, that's a great idea. And so I did some research and found a really great book. So this is a children's book, but it is deeply profound in my opinion. And if you hear some background noise, I'm sorry, I have children. All right. Is there really a human race? Is it going on now all over the place? When did it start? Who said ready, set, go? Did it start on my birthday? I really must know. Do I warm up and stretch? Do I practice and train? Do I get my own coach? Do I get my own lane? Do I race in the snow? Do I race in a twister? Am I racing my friends? Am I racing my sister? If the race is a relay, is dad on my team and his dad and his dad? You know what I mean. Is the race like a loop or an obstacle course? Am I a jockey or am I a horse? Is there pushing and shoving to get to the lead? If the race is unfair, will I succeed? Do some of us win? Do some of us lose? Is winning or losing something I choose? Why am I racing? What am I winning? Does all of my running keep the world spinning? If I get off track when I take the wrong turn, do I make my way back from mistakes? Do I learn? Is it a sprint, a dash to the end? Am I aware of the time that I spend? And why do I do it, this zillion-yard dash? If we don't help each other, we're all going to crash. Sometimes it's better not to go fast. There are beautiful sights to be seen when you're last. Shouldn't it be that you just try your best? And that's more important than beating the rest. Shouldn't it be looking back at the end that you judge your own race by the help that you lend? So take what's inside you and make big, bold choices. And for those who can't speak for themselves, use bold voices. And make friends and love well. Bring art to this place and make the world better for the whole human race. Begin.
I love that so much. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
And I think it ties into help often, right? You know, and so that's really great. Great reading. By the way, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of our assembly that today is Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to any fathers out there. It's also, I guess, a belated Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, which was yesterday. So there we go. And it's Pride Month. Happy Pride Month. So a lot of cool stuff to be, you know, happy about. And but yeah, so anywho, great reading. Our next section, we're gonna just, you know, without further ado, we're gonna welcome this month's speakers, our guests Jennifer Smith and Terrence Noonan. They hail from Massachusetts, so we're still taking advantage of this virtual sort of meeting here. But yeah, they're the directors and founders of the Community Health Partnership Honduras. And they'll be able to tell you about that. But Jennifer Smith is a retired firefighter and paramedic who served her town and community for 33 years. And Terrence Noonan is a state public defender and works pro bono with juvenile offenders and activists such as Veterans for Peace. And so, yeah, Community Health Partnership Honduras is an organization that provides medical and dental services to Honduran citizens in need. And so I'm just going to stop my share now and change some settings and allow them to take over. And so everyone, I would love for you all welcome Jennifer and Terrence. So, all right. And so Terrence, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, let me pop that up.
Perfect.
There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm Terrence and this is Jennifer, and thank you so much. It's incredible to be at least a momentary part of this very intentional community, and we appreciate it. If anybody at any point has any problem hearing us or understanding anything, just do that weird Zoom thing where you raise your hand and, you know, we'll hit you up. I'm going to give sort of a 30,000 foot view, and then Jenny is going to sort of give a much more granular understanding of what we do. Very quick history of us. We love one another. We raised 5 kids together. We watch ospreys from our kayaks, and we have a bunch of chickens. And that's what we've been doing for the past year. Privately. In public, what we've been doing is trying to help in any way that we can in our local community here in Massachusetts, nationally, vis-a-vis our elected representatives and hopefully soon to be elected representatives, and then internationally with work in, we went down to the border last month, working at the border in Texas and Mexico in Reynosa and Matamoros. So for decades, Jenny and I worked with a wonderful organization here based in Cape Cod called Cape Cares, and they still operate today. They provide medical and dental teams to 3 different sites in Honduras, and teams would go down 3 times a year. We worked there for 16 years, and it's an absolutely amazing organization. The deeper we got into the organization, the more Jenny and I wanted to sort of shift the modality of the work. In nonprofit work, if any of you all are experienced in it, you understand that there are a couple different modalities. Cape Cares used what is known as a parachute model, where the teams would go in, they would set up their clinics, dental and medical, and all of the local villages and people from the pueblos would come to where you were. You were completely isolated from the community. You hardly ever ventured off the compound. You didn't know people's home situations, whether or not there was a doctor in the area, things like that. And we wanted to sort of operate in a more collaborative way. And so Jenny became president. I wound up sitting on the board, and we tried to sort of turn the organization towards a more collaborative model. The board decided that they didn't want to go that way. They preferred the way that they were doing things, and that's absolutely fine. If the world is in fact binary, which it isn't, but if it were, there's doing good and then there's not doing good. They're doing good. We just wanted to do good in a different way. And so we broke off like 2012 maybe.
Yeah, 2012 is when we began this.
Yeah.
thing,
So
but,
we just
officially became our own NGO.
Yeah, so
a year later, 2 years
we
later.
decided that we were going to operate in a more collaborative model, more of a Paul Farmer, Partners in Health type of feel. As soon as we started doing that, we realized why people choose the parachute model. It requires much more work because it's all about relationship building. It's all about getting to know the local community where you are. It's about knowing the gatekeepers in that community, whether it's a local high school teacher, whether it's the person who takes care of the cemetery, whether it's the woman who runs the local pulperia. We had to foster all of those relationships. And fortunately, we chose a community, and again, this was very intentional, the community we chose in the mountains of Western Honduras. They just welcomed us in, and we've been working there since 2012. And it's incredibly collaborative, intensive work. So what we do is we do pretty much the same thing that Cape Cares was doing, but we provide dental, medical teams. They used to be about half US based, or at least non-Honduran based. We have people from New Zealand, England, Canada, and we go down, PAs, doctors, nurses, eye specialists, some psychiatrists, some massage therapists. And our biggest teams usually have about anywhere, 45 to 55 people. And the other half is all Honduran based, local doctors, local dentists, local nurses, nutritionists, and things like that. And we all meet in Tegucigalpa, the capital, and then we schlep 6 or 7 hours out into the mountains, and we spend 7 or 8 days just working. We open up a clinic. The thing about working collaboratively that we found is that the message, the dissemination of the message happens with much more fluidity. Whereas when we're with Cape Cares, we would make announcements over the radio. And now what we've been doing is the very first people we met in Opatoro, the community we work in, are these health promoters. They are just mostly, I'd say 99% women.
Mhm.
Well,
the promoters,
Yeah,
not necessarily, but the voluntarios.
yeah, the voluntarios and the promoters. And they are individuals from their local communities that are elected to care for the needs of the individuals. They then get together once a month and they talk about what the community needs. And so what we did structurally was we decided that we were going to start very small, because we wanted to see if we could be successful very small and then sort of replicate that success. We were working in a southern aspect of Opatoro, which is a very large geographic area. We just worked with 17 little villages first for the first year and a half or two, and very quickly realized that it was working really well. we're seeing thousands of patients, both medical and dental. And the other thing about working collaboratively is we were able to have maintenance for high risk patients in between, where people could call us. We could put them in touch. You know, some of our doctors are based in Connecticut, in Newtown. Our medical directors at Yale, our dental directors from Harvard, and I'm just name dropping there. They would take the phone calls and actually get back to these people. So there was a continuity of care that we had been missing before. Again, it takes much more work, but once you get the process started, it's really smooth. So we were doing continuity of care. Things were going very smoothly. We very quickly moved into the north. I think within a couple of years, we were in 54 different villages, and that's the story of the past decade. We've
Maybe almost a decade.
yeah, almost a decade, and it's incredible success. We fluctuate back and forth between feeling overwhelmed and incredibly, like the word in Spanish is alegría, just like this constant state of euphoria because things are going so well. And then there'll be something like what happened during COVID last year in Honduras, where they were hit with 2 successive hurricanes, which decimated the sort of industrial heartland, such as it is in Honduras, in the San Pedro Sula Valley, leaving tens of thousands, not just homeless, lots of people died, but also with no means of supporting themselves in an already sort of moribund economic state. So that was, you know, COVID is bad. It was just terrible down there. What our community did actually up in the mountains was they blocked the road. They rolled boulders across the road to prevent becoming a vector for COVID, so that cars coming up, because there were no vaccines, it's not like they were preventing care from getting up there. They were only preventing the COVID from spreading up there. So they rolled boulders across the roads and nobody came up there. So they were pretty much untouched, at least in that respect. The other big sort of 3,000 foot, 30,000 foot issue is climate change. This is an area that is highly agriculturally dependent. And when we first went into this community 10 years ago, one of the sort of elders that we met, within moments of beginning to speak with him, he was talking about climate change. And he's in his 70s. Straight out of his mouth, he's like, the seasons are changing, the temperature is fluctuating much more greatly. The soil, we have a lot more erosion. It was incredible to hear this from a guy who lives in the middle of nowhere with no electricity, all this kind of stuff, much more aware than even 10 years ago most US representatives and senators were about this particular issue. And so they take steps to actually remediate it, which is another reason why we work up there. They were also hit with a fungal disease called La Roya, which it's a heavy coffee plantation based area. And La Roya is a fungus that you have to deracinate the plants. You have to tear them up by the roots. And then it takes 3 to 4 years for the new plants to actually come back in. So what do you do if your entire economy is dependent on something that you have to wait 4 years for and you have no savings? So a lot of people started to move to San Pedro Sula. And then when they couldn't find work, then you have the exodus. I mean, part of the migratory issue that we have is based on, a lot of it is actually based on climate change. And then my final point before Jenny takes over and gets really specific about the great things that she does and that we do, is we don't have a crisis at the border. That just happens to be the locus of our attention. The crisis is actually in the countries where these people are coming from. The intersectionality, unfortunately, is that they hit the border and that's when we pay attention. And the crisis is back in Guatemala. The crisis is back in Honduras. The crisis is in southern Mexico. And so we need to expand our prism and move it from the border. There is no border crisis. That just happens to be where it manifests to our consciousness. And we need to look further down and say, okay, we can remediate these issues in situ. You know, we can do stuff in Honduras. We can do stuff in Nicaragua, El Salvador, and Guatemala. We can do that. We have the money, we have the infrastructure, and we have the willing partners down there. So, and then when Jenny and I were just at the border working, A lot of the immigrants that we were meeting, unfortunately, were all, I'd say about 65-70% of the many people we saw at the border were coming from Honduras. And it's just rough. But positively, I said that was the last thing. I'm going to actually put an addendum on that. One local thing that I found to be incredibly satisfactory in the past couple of years that I was doing was just accompanying people, locals in Massachusetts and Boston area, when they get called in to meet with immigration. If they're people without papers, if they're people who have questionable status, when they get called to go into immigration, it's a terrifying prospect, because they don't know if they're actually ever going to leave that building again. You don't have to be an attorney. You don't have to be an expert in this. All you're physically doing, as Brian Stevenson says, is getting proximate with the issue. If there's a local ICE area, immigration center down in Atlanta, and people get called in, it's just very human to say, I will pick you up and I will drive you there and I will walk you into the lobby. That's as far as you can go. They don't let you into the rest of the building. But just knowing that somebody is there and caring for them serves a dual purpose. It reinforces their humanity, that they're appreciated and they're loved, and that you're going to take the time to accompany them. The second thing that it does is it also alerts immigration that there are people who care about this individual. And so what we used to see before that was when people would show up alone, they would wind up going out the back into a police vehicle. If we'd show up and there were a bunch of people outside, 2, 3, 4, even just one, oftentimes that would change the dynamic and those people would get released. And so that's something you can do very, very, very locally. So again, thank you so much. And here's Jenny, who has most of the good news.
How do I change this? The
Oh.
pictures?
Oh, like this.
Just sorry. Okay,
There you
go
go.
back. Okay, so all right. So first of all, I have to apologize, and I'm very grateful to Adam and Paulina for their
Yes, thank you.
Well, no, for their patience with me,
Oh, yeah.
because I was trying to put some photos together and I started off with 255, and that was after I spent about 12 hours cutting it down. So then I got it down to 100 and something, and then I got it down to 80 something. So, but every picture tells a story, and it's much more easy, I think it's much easier and more eloquent than my own words to show you some of the pictures of the people that we work with. We do have so many special needs patients and their families that we work with. But there's I think, a misnomer among nonprofits and people who do humanitarian work often, that they think you have to always consider the whole and work with the larger community. That if you take your attention away and for the one, then you do a disservice to the whole. You can't help everybody. You hear that a lot, but that's not true, at least in our experience at all. We have many, many special needs families that we've been able to really impact. And if you impact that one child or that one person in the family who needed a medical intervention, a serious one, you've now made that person whole again, and they can contribute to the family rather than being a burden. But also, we've not found that difficult because we do have many, many partnerships. And so through the partnerships, we've been able to get definitive treatments and care, surgeries, cancer treatments. All kinds of amazing things have happened through that. So I'm glad we didn't take that attitude. But this picture here is this is the neighborhood I grew up in, and there's always a bunch of dogs. So the Manly SIP that picture represents 4 regions that are knit together, and those are in the Western Sierra Lenca Highlands. We work with all indigenous Lenca population. They're pretty much pure Lenca. They're not mixed, which is, they call mixta. Most of Honduras had 8 prominent tribes, and most of them have kind of mixed up, but the Lenca are still pretty pure, at least in the area where we work. That represents 4 regions that abut each other, that decided to come together in what they call a Manly SIP. It's not a word you can look up. It's an acronym. And in order to promote better health, better coordinated efforts to elevate the population. So we work with all 4 of those. Even though we work primarily in Opotoro, we have reach into all 4, and some of our programs do that. That represents 154 villages. That picture is not grapes, it's coffee. They're coffee beans that are dried at the bottom, but it looks like grapes, but it's coffee before it's picked. This is the clinic that we work in, the primary clinic. We work in this one and we work in one in the north. Its operatory is shaped rather like a peanut. And this is the south where the original 17 villages are, where we focused our work. So we work with normally there's not a doctor there. If there is, maybe not a very well-educated doctor. There's a nurse that knows her community. Nurses there have sort of an equivalency of a high school education there. They're an invaluable resource to us, and they know their communities, and we really couldn't do it without them. But that's the primary clinic that we work at, and that's La Florida, the village where we work. That white church is iconic. You can see the Catholic church there. Churches are always the most prominent buildings in any village. But that kind of gives you an idea that there's 154 villages out there like that one, where they're all spread apart. There's no main roads. It's all dirt between them. It's subsistence living. It's beautiful, but it's a very hard existence. Most people don't have electricity or water, latrines. People don't have cars. Very few have horses. It's a hard existence, but the strength that they have is in their communities, because like your community, they care about each other. They look down the road. They think about the next generations. And we just did a big, a small survey, but we went far with it to all 4 regions. When we distributed our prenatal vitamins, we sent them down not a couple of months ago, and in the just to find out like how they are after this past year without us being there, and what, get a snapshot. And they said, as Terrence said, the climate change is they've been completely shut off from any access to medical. They have no hospitals. The clinics have nothing on the shelves. They just usually have what we bring. So they've been, and people don't even go to the clinics because they know, for the most part, they go for family planning or for vaccinations, but they don't really go like you and I might go to a clinic for medical help, because they know the drill. They don't have resources, and they don't have money. If they need to go to the hospital, it's 7 hours down, and that's about $20, which is a king's ransom for them. So that is our team house where we stay. We rent that year round because we store all of our equipment in it. It's, I think, the only available house in the village. That's all our laundry hanging outside. That's La Ventana. It's up in the mountains, and it's the stuff of legends. It's where that picture was taken of the village. Please stop me or raise your hand if you have any questions. I want to kind of go through this so I don't take up too much time, because I want to allow for a little discussion about the border issues, because they are very critical right now, even though the crisis begins in these countries. So we always take our teams to La Ventana, and we have one of the village elders tells them the stories of the legends. And there we are, one of our teams up on top of La Ventana. And this is back home. Our office is in Needham, Massachusetts, and we take in about $500,000 worth of medicines and other medical and dental resources every year. And then we get them from our partners. We operate with no money, pretty much, but we do have a lot of really generous partners that trust us. And so they send us all of these medications, and we pay for some, but it's still not very much for what we get. And then everything has to be divided, 49 pounds per bag. So we usually take about 1,400 pounds down with us on each trip. And everything has to be divided by weight, so it's tricky.
That's the team dog.
It's about a week's worth of packing. And this was our first visit when these were the voluntarios, the volunteers that are elected from each village. Some tiny villages only have 1, bigger ones might have 2 or 3. So we picked up they were coolers from IKEA, but we used them for first aid kits. And we had a donation of a lot of first aid supplies. So these people are the root of our work. These people are the ones that have really made the difference. We work at all levels up through the region with municipalities and the director of health, and we have 4 regions, but these people are the gems, So we started off giving them first aid kits, and we also pay for a hot lunch program. So when they have monthly meetings, the health promoters and the clinic sponsor it for the voluntarios to come in. And so we pay for them to have a hot lunch. Many of them have to go quite a distance. And also we make sure there's money so that they can take a little transportation in. And they usually do little programs for the volunteers, for our teams. So these are the kids and the adults. and we usually get invited out on the dance floor. This is out of sequence, sorry. This is a few days ago. We just dropped another $3.8 million worth of medicine into the country, and that's our medical director on the right distributing it, but that should have been at the end. Those are two of the voluntarios. The woman on the right, her name is Esperanza, and she was one of the first people we met. And she's a fierce voluntario from San Antonio village. She now has her own nutrition clinic that she was awarded, and she loves to teach. And so we brought these books on. They were actually developed by health promoters in Honduras for their peers, and we got a hold of them because they never got distributed, and we had them made up. So this was the first time we met them. And I'll never forget, she said, "My name is Esperanza. You will not forget because it means hope." So I haven't forgotten. And this, I had a whole bunch. It's an incredible story, but I had to wipe out a bunch of them for the presentation. But this is Shaylee. She's the first child that we were able to help with surgeries. And she ended up actually coming to North Carolina at the end of 2019 for spinal surgery. But here we met her in 2014, and she had 2 club feet. She was 9 years old, had never been out of her village. She couldn't walk. She was incontinent, very shy.
She walked on her fists.
She couldn't walk on her hands. She could go up and down the mountains. Yeah. And you can see there she is. People are very poor. This is when I came back a month later and we got her to that's where we were able to get surgery from another organization. But you can see how her feet, she was holding onto a chair. They wanted to see what it looked like if she tried to stand up. Another one of our partners, when you're able to get surgery or intervention, you can't just walk away from it at that point. You have to make sure that their nutrition, they have nutritional supplements, that they're, that their general health is good, that they have the proper, in her case, shoes and braces and medical appointments and therapies and physical therapy. And you can't just, otherwise the surgery is no good. It's for nothing. And that's too valuable a gift. So in the end, she was really failing, and we ended up moving her to another, one of our strongest partners, Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos, which is our little brothers. And she had just gotten there. She was in school for the first time, and she is doing great. I have a great picture of her for you at the end. But there she is when we were going to the hospital to be evaluated to see if she could have the surgery on her feet. And that's her at NPH getting physical therapy. And there she is on the dance floor for her quinceañera last year. She's amazing. That's Porfirio, another one of our very first special needs patients. You can see by his ribs how malnourished he is. He was in his mid-20s. He had been paralyzed. There, he's actually late 20s, but he'd been paralyzed at the age of 24. There are no cars up there at the time. It was like the worst luck. He was a radio repairman, and somehow a car hit him in the little village. We're very familiar with the village. I don't know how it happened, and hardly any cars ever came up there, but he had the bad luck. But a very humble, very religious man, never complained, but he had some serious, really hard for his mother to care for him. And there's some of the kids. They're up to 28 kids in that family last I checked. But all the aunts and uncles live together in this rambling stick house, but they're beautiful children. They're so smart and charming. I just throw in kids' pictures because I think we should all enjoy them. They're so friendly and sweet. This is one of the beginnings of our fluoride program. We had a very, they had no dental care. Their dentition is horrible. Kids, all the teeth are just black. So we've been really focused on that. So we started their first fluoride programs and had them going for several years. But then the municipalities took it over. So now they have a comprehensive program. They only had one dentist for 154 villages, and she had no resources to work with. So now they do have a total of 5 dentists, and we supply them with all the resources. And we have a lot of dental equipment that was donated for 5 dental units, chairs, and our dental director from the US supplies us all of that. He gets all those donations. This is a great picture because the people, Belenka, I'm not very tall, I'm about 5'3", but I'm tall there. So you see that beautiful woman in the pink dress, she's so tiny.
Yeah.
but the Lenca are very small. So even the men are, small of stature, but not of heart. I just love this picture. He's got terrible teeth, but he's got the best smile.
And a great pig.
He lives over by where Shaylee lived, and I would always see him when I would go down the road. That's our director, our Honduran director, Gloria, without whom we could not operate. This is an example of when people are waiting to be seen at the clinic, we try to take the opportunity to do teaching. So we have pamphlets that we bring, and we try to teach about basic nutrition, nutrition, hygiene, basic things, hand washing. And then we try to elicit from them what concerns they might have. And sorry about the dogs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Thanks. We try to, engender conversations with the population to see what their concerns are. This is waiting for one of our bigger clinic in the south. We use this, it's a little market. And again, we can screen everybody for eye exams and, take the eye chart. Our eye doctor taught the local nurses how to do an eye chart. So we employed them to do that. And our eye doctor has been making glasses for children. They each have a chart. So they're all of course doing much better in school. We do classes for the voluntarios every time we go. And we were focusing on eye health. And so we had talked to them and we said, could you please, make sure you carry the messages, what you learned back to your communities. And you're who we count on to educate us, but also to educate your community. And so they were so cute. They said, well, do you think we could get an official hat? So we had the hats made up with our logo. And then there was a gay pride parade up here in Provincetown, and American Express had a float, and they rented my house, and they ended up leaving about 2,000 pairs of those blue sunglasses for gay pride. So they're all over the place down there. They don't know the origin, and that's okay. But we give them rides home afterwards because they have to go back so far. So after the classes, I generally take them home to all the villages. And this is the local nurse. She's like, for me, she's my right hand there working because she knows everything. She rides shotgun with me all the time. You can see in some of these pictures the collaborative nature of our work with US team members and local Hondurans. There's a local Honduran gal that works at the clinic with one of our nurse practitioners working in the pharmacy. And here's one of our combined teams doing, the guy on the right is our medical director. He's from Yale, and he has given 4 or 5 of our doctors now opportunities to do rotations at Yale. And the guy here sitting he's with Boston Medical Center, and he's also given a lot of our doctors wonderful opportunities at Boston. And the handsome Honduran to the left of him, standing up the gray scrubs, was our medical director at the time. But so our medical director, Dan, on the right, was practicing acupuncture on his colleague in the ears, field acupuncture. And here he is doing it on one of our Honduran patients. So yeah, his colleague didn't like it so much, but that patient seemed to enjoy it. We have a lot of college students that come with us, and a number of families, and Katie's one of our best. And she's at Yale, it was through Yale, she got the ultrasound to bring down.
Yep.
So she's teaching Honduran doctors how to use it, the portable ultrasound. This is Tatiana, another one of our children with club feet. This is the first time we met her. Club feet is a big problem there. And there's Tati at One World Surgery. They're on the same campus as Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. And that doctor, was one of the first orphans with his brothers admitted to NPH as a child, and he ended up going to Cornell University. He's a surgeon, and he built with the 2 other US doctors, he built this incredible surgical complex and a clinic that serves the greater community there where the orphanage is. And he's never said no to us when we ask him to take a patient in. That's one of our NPs with one of the health promoters, and behind them is enough prenatal vitamins for 1,000 women. We get those annually, and we're qualified for it because our Honduran colleagues are able to account for every single vitamin inventoried and dispensed from every village. So they turn in the records. They're really good at bookkeeping, much better than me. And we get to attend live births, home births sometimes. So that they're not supposed to do that. there's no midwives anymore. In the region, they've decided there'll be no more home births. Everybody has to go to the hospital. I don't know what they've done this year though, because you know, it's outside of the regions that they have to go. It's pretty far, but the baby was okay. And here they are picking up the vitamins. She's picking up the vitamins for her clinic, her regions that she's responsible for, and so is he. They usually send us pictures of that. Our dental program, we've been able to include some prosthetic technicians and a whole team. And I told you the dentition was really bad. Look at this. She had just gotten her prosthetics in and she was going to look in the mirror. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, I have so many pictures of before and after there, but this is the quality of the work. In Honduras, 80% of dentists have no paid work. They're working as mechanics or beauticians,
Taxi
or
drivers.
whatever they can get. But they're very skilled. That's where I get my dental work done. They're wonderful. As you can see, we're not just yanking teeth out down there. They're doing amazing restorative work. And this is one of our all Honduran. Actually, all of our dentists are Honduran. That's one of our summer teams. They go up and they just try to do as much good work as they can. The kids are always hopping in my truck. It's just a cute picture. The kids are so sweet. And this is after they turned the fluoride program over to the local dentist. And here she is with the fluoride. That's when Terrence got the truck stuck. I just think it's a great picture.
That was a team building. That was our
Team building.
that was our
yeah.
very first. We were driving out to the site and it had been raining and the road the road gave way. So early team building. Everybody, we picked up
too.
logs and we had to like fulcrum the truck out. It was.
They came back with warrior paint of mud.
Oh yeah, it started to rain about 10 minutes after this picture was taken. It was pouring. It was great.
When it rains, it's like driving on ice. It's worse than ice. And at the end of the week, we always have a team party by one of the local, actually it's a guy he's the coffee guy in the area, and he hosts a lot of our team members at his home, and then they throw us a party. This is going on a home visit up to Porfirio's house. We used to have to hike up the mountain, and very, very sadly, Porfirio died. He's the young man that was paralyzed. He died suddenly almost 3 years ago, and I think we weren't there. I think it was appendicitis that the nurse misdiagnosed. So sad. But we used to have to climb up the mountain, and damned if a month after Porfirio's death, they didn't put a road in. Right, it goes right by his house now. But these are home visits. This is Marco, our current medical director. He's pretty incredible. This was a stroke patient, and I think she'd been in bed about 5 years, but her families take such good care of each other. The little girl and the young girl in the black shirt in the middle, that's Jessie. She's 14 and she was being treated for cancer. So she was one of 2 kids that we worked with her for about a year. She had a growth on her leg, and we work with Salva Mi Vida, which is the Children's Cancer Foundation. It's not for adults, there's no resources, but for kids there are. So she actually came through the surgery and radiation successfully, and she was on chemotherapy too. And that's Gloria to the right and one of our dentists to the left, and her sister to the right. And there she is now.
Yep.
Or a couple years ago. That's just a cute kid. And there's Tatiana in her shoes, standing there. She's had her surgery and she's doing great. And this little fellow, Byron, he was 8 when we met him, and he had his hand was, when he was 3 at his sister's wedding, they burned trash. So he picked up some burning plastic, and as soon as he picked it up, his fingers became fused to his palm, and he was that way for 5 years. He could have had it fixed if someone could have gotten him to the hospital, but they don't have the means to do that. So if you get dealt literally that hand, that's what you live with. But we WhatsApped a picture to Dr. Merlin and said, can you fix this? I think I can't do that when you're doing that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Whoops. Go back. Sorry, we got messed up. All right, so maybe the pictures are out of order. Okay, that's just a team picture. But here's his hand now after surgery. You can see the scar, but that's all he has. He has 100% use of his hand. And there he is in the pink shirt. He lives on top of a mountain of beans and corn and coffee. So he is now a productive and helping member of his family instead of being a burden. And this is Mary Soul. I think this is the only other one of our special needs patients that I put in here. She was 7 when we met her, and she had a severe problem with the club foot. She's cooking green bananas for her lunch here. But when we met her, you can see that she was walking on the outside of her foot and developed this awful, protective growth. But she was then she started getting bone infections, which nearly killed her. So we were able to, we worked together. Here's a health promoter and the rural doctor, and we ramped her up with antibiotics, did a debriding, made plans for her to be seen for surgery. But first she had to have that heal. So they would go into the soaks and report. We communicate by WhatsApp. So here she is at the surgical center. That's Tatiana with her boot. They have to wear the boot for several years after the surgery. This is just to show you how pretty it is out there. Autism, and they don't know what it is. They have no idea that that's autism. And this child never left her. She lives on a tippy top of a mountain, and they've never been able to take her down at all. She was Gledia. She's 12 years old, very petite, but extremely withdrawn, and had a lot of seizures all her life. So we got her on medications for behavior and seizures. And this man is the director of the Autism Foundation in Tegucigalpa. And so we work with them too. So he agreed to come on out with us and spend a week visiting families with autistic children, and then teaching the voluntarios about what is autism so they could recognize it in their communities. He's a really sweet man. So it took a while for her to let him near, and she wouldn't let us near her at all. But this is after she started on the medication. That's our medical director, Marco. And you can see that first smile. I think that was the first time she ever smiled at anybody outside of her family. Even her own family, they can't leave her alone with the other children. It's very severe. And that is Gretel. During her treatment, her mother somehow got her through a year of cancer treatments. And she had leukemia, and I don't know how she did it, but she managed to somehow get her down for regular treatments. And she asked if we could help, because she still had, I think, almost 2 years to go, but she had no more money, and she'd already gone so far. So we helped. We took care of the expenses for the treatments to get her down the mountain, and she was doing great. But unfortunately, she did die last year. It was very sad, but at least her mother knew that everything that could have been done was done. But a very tragic situation. Lovely, lovely girl. That's just another. This is Senora Rivera. We have a natural remedies program, and she's the one with all the knowledge. So she's got all these tinctures and salves, and people visit her. So there she is with her Bible, with all the recipes, and that's her daughter. Her daughter teaches for us in the classes, because the voluntarios are very interested in that. And this is Danny, a nutritionist with Esperanza, the voluntario. This is her nutrition house, where she teaches mothers how to cook in healthy ways for children. And there's Danny with her nutrition plate at teaching the class. And this is our eye doctor in the United States, who's been leading our eye health programs. But now we have affiliations with Unite for Sight, and so through them we're able to do a whole lot more. We look forward to having a really robust program. It was supposed to happen last year, but this is just a scenic picture. This the hurricanes. The hurricanes devastated the country. They will be decades recovering from this, if they ever do. And then this is what we're doing this last couple of months. We've gotten a total of $5.1 million worth of medicines shipped down gratis from our partners with Heart to Heart International. And Marco's in the blue. He has, with his colleagues, our other Honduran doctors, have built a distribution network that goes across the entire country. So we're able to get those medications directly into the hands of practitioners, and without going through any corruption issues. And it's in hundreds of clinics and hospitals. 4 of our doctors are up here right now. They just came up to join a 5th. They're all doing residencies here in Boston and Florida and New York. Yeah, those 2 truckloads are going off to a department called Olancho, which is very far out. So I think we hit up about 12 clinics and a hospital out there. I've been working a lot. It's sort of an outgrowth of our work. It's not really CHPH. Well, it is our work, but it's
Doesn't matter.
yeah, it doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter.
This little girl, Angeli, we're working with a lot of separated and deported families that, and particularly those that are coming back up, that are being allowed to come up under the class action suit. And she was severely malnourished. So we've been sending the nutritional milk. And then this is Reynosa. We okay if I just keep going so I don't take up too much time? Or does anybody have any questions?
Well, so I do see a couple questions in the chat that's popped up
Okay.
now. And yeah, so you know, it seems like you're almost at the end of your slide anyhow, your pictures, but I can go ahead and read some of the questions now. But yeah, first of all, thank you so much for sharing all this, Jennifer. I mean, it's just, and Terrence, you know, these are I don't know if there's a better way to exemplify, you know, helping often than what you guys are doing to, you know, showcasing that community and those people there and everything. But yeah, a couple questions that are coming up. The first one is, and I know this is kind of a touchy thing, so if you want to avoid it, that I understand, because it's but there's a question about working with the Honduran government and whether or not you have their permission to do this or whatnot, and then, you know, that it is sort of an unstable situation down there. So
Yep.
that was the first one, if you want
That's-
to address
Well,
that.
It's a great question.
It is, and thank you for it. We work hand in glove with the municipalities. Like the mayor sends transportation out for us. They take care of some of the logistics for us, but we do at all costs try to avoid. We didn't even want to become registered in Honduras, but we are in the process of it and anticipate having that done soon. But we'd rather fly under the radar because we don't want to work with them. They're incredibly corrupt. All the military is corrupt. The police are corrupt. The government's all corrupt. But the municipal governments, it's a little bit different on the local level. And we found them to be excellent partners. But I think the reason Heart to Heart is giving us so much, and we're about to start 2 more programs with them, with iHealth resources for a couple of years minimum, and then regular shipments from a new donor of medicines. But I think the reason they're trusting us is they know we can keep it out of the hands of the government, because it's normal for the officials to show up from the government and they'll try to take credit for what's been sent down.
And we do have to operate under the aegis of the Minister of Health.
Yeah.
I mean, officially. And one of the other things that we did early on, and this is for a separate reason than delivering medical and dental care. This was actually how to take care of our teams when we went down there. Is Jenny and I made a point of becoming friends with the U.S. ambassador, and we did, and his name was James Nealon. Politically, we couldn't align ourselves with Ambassador Nealon. However, personally, if there was an emergency and we needed to get our team out of Honduras for whatever reason, whether it was a natural disaster or an unnatural disaster, I wanted to know that we could have helicopters at our disposal to cover the distance, get our team, and get us the hell out of there. And so we have had to, you know, without compromising any of our beliefs, we've had to guarantee the safety of our teams, and, you know, and hopefully the safety of the communities in which we work, you know, to a certain extent. So, but we don't make any contracts with the federal government. Another reason we chose this particular community is it's, you know, obviously it's a post-colonial religious ethno state, I guess, kind of
Narco state.
a narco state, which is incredibly patriarchal, but they have a female mayor. And she keeps getting reelected, and so there's this power and matriarchy there. And she is incredibly responsive to her community, and we have a reciprocal relationship. She understands that the more she helps us, the more she's going to be able to help her people, and so it's really good.
And actually because we work with so many Hondurans and our directors, we have Honduran directors down there as well. When things get a little dicey, they handle it. We don't
Yeah.
have to. And like one of our former directors, he's a young dentist, and he didn't pull any punches. Like
Yeah.
one time the government,
Oh.
they showed up with blue vests and they were asking people in the community to wear them, and they didn't realize And Marlon sees them and he immediately calls the mayor and he says, get them out of here right now or we're leaving. You
Yeah.
know, the government is not going to be part of this,
Yeah.
you know, so we let them handle it. So.
And we were there, I mean, in case we needed this lesson to be reinforced, Jenny and I were in Honduras in 2009 when the coup happened. We were up in the north and, President Zelaya had been elected. And then, I mean, it's the definition of a coup. He's sleeping, he's at the presidential house, the military comes in, he's in his pajamas, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, they pick him up, they put him on a plane and they fly him to Costa Rica. It was a coup, like flat out coup. And Jenny and I were in country and there were tanks rolling through the streets and you could just feel it, like the entire country was waiting for some international action. Like somebody had to take a step. And there was an argument at that point. Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State and Barack had never really done, he didn't have the experience internationally in terms of Central America. And I think Hillary Clinton wrote in her book, Tough Choices, that she had no time for the president, unfortunately. So they didn't call it a coup. And so a lot of the things that would have been triggered had the US called it a coup would have happened. The Organization of American States didn't take any action either. And
They're a lapdog.
what happened was impunity.
And then we just had that happen again in 2017. There was a
Right.
second coup. So
right.
it just goes on and on. And again, that was when Rex, what's his name?
Tillerson.
The oil guy. Rex Tillerson was our Secretary of State. And he just didn't, we just turned our back on them.
Yeah.
But we don't want to go too far afield because
Yeah.
it's time. I don't want to take up their time, but also we want to finish that. But is there another question that we could answer before we?
Sure. Yeah, there's a couple here that I'm finding interesting. So there was a question about funding, but I think you kind of addressed it, that you have a lot of partners that sort of supply things, and also your organization does rely on donations as well, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to go ahead and answer or pop this into the chat. This is the website, chp-honduras.org. And so if it so moves you, check it out and see
Thank you.
what you could do there. But another question I saw, which was interesting, was why are the club feet so common? That was a question put in the chat.
We
So-
really don't know. There's a lot of it though. As a matter of fact, the doctor in Olancho, the 2 trucks of medicine sent me, because we also have 6,000 pounds of equipment landing next week that through USAID and DOD. But that was over a year in the making to make that happen. It's our stuff, but they will transport it. But like in the meantime, they've had a year of pandemic, 2 hurricanes, right? Like, this is the difference between working with governmental agencies versus, independent NGOs.
Yeah.
But so he sent me a bunch of pictures of kids out there in Olancho with missing limbs and club feet. It's I think it's folic acid. It's can be genetic. There's no clear answer because we've been asking that for a while, but there's a lot of it. And I think the kids with missing limbs that we're seeing, the pictures he sent me are probably kids like Marisol would have lost hers. That
Yeah.
you saw that ulcer on her leg. I mean, she was getting bone infections, which
Yeah.
put her life at risk and certainly her limb. But it's
Yeah.
but I don't have a picture here, but I'll send you one later if you want to share it. But it was supposed to be in here. When kids are born with club feet, if they're casted right away
Right. Quickly.
and casted for a month, they can usually be fine. But for people who live in remote areas, they don't have the money to get to a hospital. They don't know, and they don't know what to do. They don't have any education about what to do.
And
So
that's
they're just
something
out
that
there.
definitely, struck me when we first connected earlier this year. I mean, I've already been almost brought to tears looking at these pictures again. Almost every time I talk with you guys, that happens to me. But, when earlier this year, when you told me the story of the boy with the plastic that burned his hand, and for years he just didn't have use of his hand. That is just there. And then you were able to fix it with it was like a couple $100 surgery, right? It wasn't even
No,
something that
I think it was 125 for the surgery was free.
Yeah.
But I think it cost us about $125 to send him pre-op for the surgery and post-op visit.
right. So I mean, something that we in America, in the United States, might not think is something that's going to break the bank. And over there, he lives for years without his hand. That's just that one stuck with me. And so it was really great to see the pictures too. Paulina has a related question though. How do you remember all the names?
Well, I personally am down there usually about 3 months of the year, and because I'm on each team, I always go to visit, and I go in between the brigades, so.
We don't remember our kids' names.
I forgot everything else. but-
Everything else is out of our heads, but
Sure.
those kids we remember. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, yeah, I think that, if we want to wrap it up, that would be great. And so if you want to just kind of continue with the rest of the
So this is gonna
pictures.
be, so this is, I'll try to do this quickly because we don't want to take up too much time, but this picture is the encampment in Reynosa. Right now, Reynosa is the worst place along the border. And it's like even last night, I got late, was going to bed last night and I got a news article about it
Yeah.
in my feed about, 15 people were killed last night in Reynosa. The cartels are warring with each other there, but all of Reynosa it's like the Wild West now. There's no authorities there. The only authorities in uniform are corrupt ones. They're with the cartels. There's, I think, the people that we know there that are doing like the heavy lifting, volunteering, they tell us there's one taxi driver you can trust. All the other taxi drivers are in too, so that people are getting kidnapped every single day down there. It's really, really bad. And we need to really get on it with calling our congressional delegation, because they need to let these people through. These people, so they're living like this. Terrence and I, we volunteer with Team Brownsville, and I'll send you links if you want to share them later. I meant to do that in case anyone's interested in volunteering. Team Brownsville is awesome, and you get to see families who are actually moving through, and you get to outfit them with backpacks and snacks and new shoes and clothing, and they're usually in their clothes that they walk 2,000 miles in. It's just brutal, but they're moving through. But so we also did pop-up clinics in Matamoros and in McAllen. But then Terrence and I spent a couple of days in Reynosa with this couple. It's like they're like saints. We went shopping and fed 600 people that day,
Yeah.
because I had a $300 donation that we used for that. And then she's like, we went right to the store. Every day she's doing that, getting these people into apartment hotels. We snuck in tents with her there that day. Last night she was up with a Haitian child up until all hours. This baby was having seizures. She had taken 2 different hospitals with the family because they couldn't treat him. But every day is a lot of stories coming out of she and her husband going every day. And they live up over a half an hour outside of Reynosa. They've had cartel members show up at their house to threaten them.
Yeah.
But they won't stop. They're amazing, and they could use some help. But so this is the encampment where people are living in makeshift tents. And so she's showing us inside where the baby sleeps. They had a place up in that little carousel. This woman had just gotten out of a kidnapping situation. She'd been kidnapped and held ransom with her son for 3 days. They extort the families in the United States, family members. And this is going on every day. This little girl, Terrence, you wanted to.
We were just down in the encampment, and then I was lagging behind the group. I was doing something, and I felt this like tugging on my sleeve, and I turn around, there's nobody there, and then I feel the tugging again, and there's this little girl, and I say, "Oh, hola, ¿cómo estás?" And she says, "I speak English. I want to talk English." I was like, "Okay, this is amazing. Let's do it." She said, "My name is Stacy, and I live in Copan," which is, the Copan ruins are up in the north of Honduras. And we had this great conversation. And she's been living there under this tarp with her family.
She walked 2,000 miles with her mother and brother.
And the only thing, so we talked to her for a while, and you touch on some deep subjects, some painful subjects, and then you try to keep it light. And then we asked her, like, what's the one thing you really miss or want? And she said, "I just want to sleep in a comfortable bed."
No, she didn't even say
My
that.
bed. Yeah,
She
my
said, "I
bed.
miss my bed."
That's right, my
The
bed.
ground is very hard to sleep
Yeah,
on.
I miss my bed. So very long story, very short. She's now living in New Jersey.
She said, well, we didn't forget about her. So we asked
Right.
Lulu, the volunteer, can you go interview her?
Yep.
And I can send you that too, if anybody's interested in watching it later. But she interviewed her, and there's one attorney down there named Jennifer Harberry. Also, I'll send you her information. She's in case anyone's interested, but she is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible history. She married a Guatemalan rebel who ended up was assassinated by the CIA. So she's been in this her whole life. But Jennifer Harberry is getting people across. And so Lulu went back to interview Stacy and her family. And then she got Jennifer's attention somehow, and they came through, and
Yep.
then
Here
here they are in New York City.
Yep.
And that's Stacy on the far right. And then those are two of our doctors that just came up for residencies in New York, and they brought documents that the family needed with them. So they went into New York to meet them to get the documents.
Yeah.
They personal documents that had been in Copan.
Mhm.
So that was pretty cool. And here they are in their new apartment. There's a wonderful woman who has what they call they call it the magic closet. And she outfitted the whole family with clothing and everything they needed for the apartment, bedding, school supplies, shoes, you name it. So there they are with their cousin. So that's how I'm ending the slideshow. But I have been working with her name is Gisela Voss, and she's the caseworker for Together and Free, one of the advocacy groups who's who's been working with asylum seekers or the separated families on the class action suit. So we have a lot of maybe you shouldn't talk to the dog. Go away from the dog. so she's working with a lot of families. She has 81 families in her caseload right now. And I just shot her a question to ask her if we had families in Atlanta, in case anyone is interested, because it's incredible work. Because she's not just handling, she's not handling sorry, I've got a couple of messages here. She's not just handling the Honduran families. They're from all different countries. But she said, I said, do you have anybody in Atlanta? And she said, we could use help. She said, there's the one family that I have there that needs so much help is from Guatemala. They're desperately poor, living in a trailer with a lot of children in Jessup, Georgia. Is Jessup close to Atlanta? Does anybody know?
I'm from Chicago originally. Someone else
Oh,
weighed in.
yeah. Anybody know where Jessup is?
It's a little ways out from Atlanta, to my understanding.
Okay, all right. I can circle back with you later, Adam, but if anybody's interested in helping,
Yeah, it's close to
with that
Savannah.
work, it's amazing. These families have been going through so much, but we've been doing a lot of medical intervention, psychiatric intervention. They're all hugely traumatized, sometimes dental work too, because they're, huge. I mean, like one of the reasons one family we're working with tried to come up is because the woman was in such horrendous dental pain, but couldn't get help. She's lost almost all of her teeth now, but we're getting her prosthetics. But so we're doing what we can in Honduras for these families, and Gisela is working on the US end, but
Yeah. Well, I think the work you're doing is amazing, and thank you so much for sharing with us and everything. And I know it's been wonderful hearing from you guys and seeing you again. And I can only imagine how much we could keep talking about it. You whittled the pictures down from 225, which was down from like 50,000 or something before that. So, thank you for going through all that. And but yeah, send me all that information. We will do what we can to kind of post that either on our Facebook, like our social media stuff, or
thank you.
maybe even our website, in certain areas. But yeah, we'll get that going. But thank you so much, both of
No,
you,
thank
for
you.
coming here. Yeah. And I know you guys got to get going tonight, but if you wanted, you can hang out for the rest of the assembly. But yeah, it was there's some really good comments in the chat here of people just also thanking you and saying it's been moving, and and thanking you and stuff. So we really appreciate it, guys. And
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Just take a look at that.
yeah.
But thank you so much for the opportunity, and I will send additional information. And if there's any questions there, about some of this work, or if you're interested in helping out, let us know. But also, we're very interested in learning more about what you guys are doing, because
Yeah.
I wish there was one in our neighborhood.
Sure.
But if you're still going on Zoom, maybe we can jump on with you.
Excellent. Sounds
Although I
good.
hope we get back in person soon. We're all ready for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why we have to go in a minute, because we have a family reunion, graduation,
right.
kind of first time
Excellent.
everybody getting together.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. All right. Have a great night. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm gonna steal the mic back, and if you all are seeing my computer, you can see that I'm still sharing here and all that great stuff. So yeah, thanks for listening to that, guys. And we're just gonna kind of move along now and do the next section of our assembly, which is the icebreaker. So you know, for this, we're gonna try to channel this inspiration we just got from Jennifer and Terrence and use it for this icebreaker. Okay. The icebreaker sections where we break down these walls and we just kind of interact with each other a little bit. So for this month, what we're going to do is we're gonna, oops, I went too far. So we're gonna break off into groups and then we're gonna take turns picking number 1 through 6 and perform the corresponding action. So I'm gonna throw a really hefty link here in the chat. If you want to, you can click that and it's a virtual dice. All right. Otherwise, you can just pick 1 through 6 if you're no fun. But yeah, so if you want to do just kidding. But yeah, if you just pick that and then we can just chat about kind of the, concepts of in our lives where we experienced help in different forms. So great. I'm gonna go ahead and I guess we have to put these into the chat. I didn't think about that, did I?
Yeah, that might be needed.
Okay, so let
Thanks for
me.
coming, Stephanie. Bye.
Okay, so in the chat, there are those 6 things, and I'm going to go ahead and break us off into the breakout rooms. And how many people we have here?
12-ish.
12-ish. Okay. So we'll go with like 3 breakout rooms or maybe 4. Okay. And there we go. We're gonna go ahead and start this. And there you go. You should see an invitation now to the breakout rooms.
And goodbye, stream. We will be back momentarily.
Mm-hmm.
I don't appear to have been assigned somewhere, but I'm going to join one that has few people.
Okay.
Joining room We're back.
All
Cool
right.
team. Cool team's
People
back.
people are coming back. The cool. How many of you guys were cool and fun and did the virtual dice? We did.
I did all of the dice rolling for all of us.
There you go. You just need one designated dice roller, and it's all right. But yeah. Okay. All my windows went away. My chat window. I got to pull these all back up again. So.
Zoom is a quality product, and I will hear nothing negative about it.
Nothing.
That's a really good point. This is really annoying.
So cool. And I need my participants window. I want to make sure everyone's back from their breakout rooms. Cool. So yeah, hopefully that was cool. And you know, that your icebreakers broke some ice. And yeah, but next up, we are going to turn it over to Mr. Ben, and he's going to read our Life Happens segment. So that's this right here. And so Ben, take it away.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. We have 9 responses to Life Happens. I'm gonna make sure that I've got the latest. Auto refreshes, I think. Yeah, okay. So I'll just dive right in. Our first is from Paulina, who says, it was a super busy month, as always, in the Greenlee household, and a lot happened, but I want to share about 2 things. Number 1, we recently added a new member to our family, our second cat, Charlie. He's an awesome, silly, and scared cat that was rescued from a kill shelter by Fur Kids, from whom we adopted him. He has some medical conditions we're still working through, but I know that he will learn to fit in and bring us as much love as our other cat, Remy, does. Here's hoping they will love each other. Number 2 is I just passed my tests for the nursing assistant state certification. It was really stressful, but I pulled through. Now I'm excited to start my college LPN classes soon. So big claps on both of these. Awesome. Let's see. Number 2 is Adam, who says, we recently had our first get together with friends after a 1.5 years of isolation and social distancing. Classic backyard barbecue, followed by a jam session. It was so great to feel connected again with new and old friends and to watch our children have fun together. So yeah, coming out of the pandemic, yes, there's like light at the end of the tunnel, and it doesn't look like it's a train. So Number 3 is Ross, who says, I won an award for my COVID-19 surveillance testing program for Georgia Tech, and I feel good about that. Yes, you should. Congratulations. Number 4, Jared says, it's a nibble, not a bite, but a literary agent has asked me to look at the full manuscript of a novel I wrote. Fantastic. Ben Bradley says, I'm mourning the passing of Dale Hetherington, who was a member of the Atlanta Hobby Robot Club and friend for 20 years. So definitely some snaps. Andy says, today I find myself having mixed emotions as the life of our dog is drawing to a close. I feel sad and helpless that he doesn't comprehend the unpleasant effects related to his lymphoma and the related treatments. I feel happy that we lucked into adopting a terrific little companion for the last 11 or so years. And I feel grateful in realizing that all living things eventually die, and that acceptance, theoretically at least, helps improve the self that I bring to all of my relationships. Mix of snaps and claps, as is my usual. Yeah. Ashley S. says, I completed a half marathon last weekend in Chattanooga. This is a goal that has been a long time in coming, and I'm proud of my persistence, discipline, flexibility, and the radical acceptance that were part of my training journey. I'm now shifting my wellness goals to include working with a personal trainer to build more strength. I'm both excited and daunted by this new focus, and I'm grateful for skilled professionals who are trained to help people develop their bodies and minds. Awesome. Jillo says, I found $20 in a parking lot. Best thing that has happened to me in 2 years. Yes. And last, Andy says, double dipping today. I had a brick fall on my foot on Monday. It might seem ironic, but feel happy that this happened to me because it gave me an opportunity to ask for help with some needs, to slow down, literally, and be gentle with myself, and to notice how my pain responded to my moving around. I also noticed that whenever I mentioned what happened to friends, most were quick to suggest medications, creams, etc., which they claimed would eradicate my pain, based on what I imagine was their assumption that I only brought it up with them because I wanted them to tell me how to fix my situation. While I thank them for their suggestions, I feel happy that I wasn't seeing this as a situation which needed fixing, at least not at this time. And as it turns out, I'm improving each day, so I'm happy about that too. So that's, yeah, snaps, claps for your foot, though. I mean, snaps for your foot. And that is all of our responses for Life Happens. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Thanks, Ben. Awesome. I gotta say, Andy, you gotta leave it to Andy to turn a brick falling on his foot into somehow a positive thing. You know, I love that about you, man.
That's awesome.
That's great. So cool. Life happens. Yeah. Speaking of Life Happens, one thing that happened to Sunday Assembly Atlanta in general this past month was, if I can, I thought I was going to time that with the slide just right, was our book drive. Yes. So during the month of May, we collected books for the DeKalb County Child Advocacy Center and the DeKalb County, sorry, I say DeKalb. I'm from Illinois, and there's a county up there that literally is spelled the same way, and you say DeKalb. So my whole life, it's been DeKalb, and I come down here, and people are like, bless your heart, it's DeKalb. But anyway, sorry, I digress. So the DeKalb County Juvenile Court, and but what this is a really in need thing here, because children that are somehow needing to go to this court or be involved in it one way or another are oftentimes missing school. A lot of them drop out of school, and they're oftentimes there at these facilities like all day long, and so waiting for their case to come up. And so to have books there and to have resources for them is something that was really needed. And so we've been able to donate this month over 220 books to them. So everything from, you know, kids books and coloring books and things, all the way up to like GED prep course books and things. So it's been really great. And I just want to thank everyone who volunteered to be like a place where people could drop books off, to people who donated books, and to people who donated money to help us buy books, and, you know, and to the child advocate attorney, Jennifer, for including us in this awesome program. So yeah, that was really great. So yes, claps for that, I suppose. And yeah, and this is a great segue, I would say, to you know, when, as we wind the assembly down a little bit, I wanted to just take a moment and present some ideas on how our community members might be able to help those in need. You know, of course, as we mentioned, you can visit chp-honduras.org and donate to the cause that Jennifer and Terrence highlighted and what they're working towards. There's also many local organizations right here in Atlanta that need support as well, financially or through volunteer work. So briefly, here's just a few to think about, okay? And so there are food banks around us, such as the Atlanta Community Food Bank or the Urban Recipe that you can look up. And we'll put all this stuff, you don't need to just write this down or anything. We'll put this somewhere where you can come back to this, but just to get the gears turning. There's also environmental organizations like Trees Atlanta or West Atlanta Watershed Alliance. These places that are working towards a better environmental solutions and stuff. There's educational organizations out there like Books for Africa, or one of my favorites, the Atlanta Music Project, which provides music education to underserved children and youth. So, and we've got children art programs are out there, Paint Love and Draw Change. These places you can donate to, and and read about the work they do is just great. So, oh, and we've had a volunteer with AMP's Atlanta Music Project speaker for us. Nice, Ross. Cool. And last one, in light of Pride Month, we've got LGBTQ organizations like Lost and Found Love or Southerners on New Ground Song is the thing. So, these are just, hopefully this list kind of like helps inspire a bit to do what you can to help people in need. And whether it's here locally or, a faraway place like Honduras, and so we'll put this stuff out there. Of course, people can only do what you can. I don't want this to feel like we're obligating you or guilting you into doing something. This is really just to promote awareness. I'd hate for someone to not help that could if they just didn't know about it. So that's really what that's there for. So now if what you can do is donating, there's also a particular organization here that could always use your help, and that is Sunday Assembly Atlanta. Yes. Talk about a segue. So Sunday Assembly is 501c3, requires donations, and if there's any way you could think about doing that, donating to Sunday Assembly to keep things going. And you can go to the website sundayassemblyAtlanta.org, and there's a whole bunch of different ways how you can donate right there. So yeah. Now, I promise I will stop talking soon, but I wanted to bring up one other important thing that, another way you might wish to help Sunday Assembly Atlanta, and that is to help us make it happen. And so what we're talking about here is assemblies themselves. And so every assembly is a lot of work. And the more helpers we can have preparing these things, the better. So next Sunday, we're actually going to be having a sort of like a how the donuts are made sort of type of meeting. And so to inform anyone who wants to volunteer, how the assemblies are planned, what goes into each assembly, what roles people might take in order to help. Depending on how many volunteers we get, we might even like formulate fun teams and come up with ridiculous team names and that sort of thing. But we just want to kind of expand this, this assembly planning team out to the community, and just invite you all to maybe take part if that's something that moves you. And so if you want to come and join us, and but before we let you go, we do have some announcements. And so the first one I'm going to turn over to Ross to talk about. And so Ross, take it away, buddy.
I'm taking it away. Hi, my name is Ross, and I am here to announce, I guess, in an assembly, although I already put out a blog post and all these things, that in-person small group events are back, if you didn't already know. We had our first in-person coffee talk 2 weeks ago, which was really cool. And if you do a small group event and you are interested in bringing it back to in-person, you are invited to do so. There's all sorts of things to be considering when you're making that transition back. And I put them all at sundayassemblyatlanta.org/COVID. These rules are, I mean, they're going to be exactly what you expect from any just from all of us existing in the past year, right? So you'll probably be able to take a guess at what they're going to be. But there are a couple like details, like if you're doing a small group event, you have to have certain supplies, and we'll give you those. But just making sure you have them in the off chance that someone who needs hand sanitizer, needs a mask, doesn't have them, right? It's just these things that we feel as a board are like the responsible way to get back into in-person activities. So I could talk more about like those details, but for the purposes of if you are an event host, that's your one-stop shop for learning about how to get things back into in-person. And if you are just attending and a guest, there's stuff there for you as well about needing to agree to our guidelines about, anyway, being encouraged to be vaccinated. If you're unvaccinated, having certain preventative measures. Again, stuff that is not going to be surprising at all. And I did want to mention that we have a survey now that we've just launched now, asking our membership how y'all feel about in-person assemblies in the future and what features those might have and what preventative measures we might want to put in place, things like that. If you want to be introduced to this interesting idea of maybe we have stickers that signal people's willingness and openness for being close to one another or vaccination status, learn more about that in there and tell me if you hate stickers or not. That'd be great. I like stickers, so don't want to bias anybody. Oh, and look at that. I made this slide so long ago I forgot, but on the right side, those are actually the attendee expectations. So you already know, if you have skimmed this, right? Don't show COVID-19 symptoms. Well, actually, that makes it seem like I want you to hide your symptoms. That is not what I want you to do. I want you to not have them. And I want everybody to not have COVID-19 symptoms because I would like us to not be in a pandemic right now. The preventative measures, hey, if you're at a coffee shop and they say wear masks, we're going to wear masks, that kind of thing. And then we're going to continue this kind of consent-based idea that we like to have because we like to give hugs and stuff. For those of you who have been with us only for the virtual world, we like to give hugs in our community. And we like to ask for consent before we do that. And so we'll take that same ethos and apply it towards things like getting close to someone who just for any reason may not want that right now because we, again, are in a pandemic. Have you heard about this? Anyway, I think that's plenty from me, but that's a big shift is small group events in person. You know, those are back with some care and consideration and assemblies in the near future. And let us know how you feel about that. bit.ly/SAA-COVID-survey, which I'll put in the chat again. Nope, I won't. Jared is way ahead of me. Jared is a champion. I'm done talking now.
Yeah, so click on that link, take the survey. It's really brief. It's nothing crazy, and it's just going to help us kind of determine where everyone how everyone feels about, you know, getting back and what preventative measure or what measures we might take to make people feel safe and whatnot. But cool. And let's see here. So what we've got coming up now, you know, Sunday Assembly, I like to make sure I point out that Sunday Assembly Atlanta is much more than this here meeting. It is full of small groups and all sorts of things like this. And so we've got our list of stuff that's happening. Secular Parents Community Group. That's the group that that Paulina and I kind of host. And that's happening this week on the 24th, Thursday at 8 p.m. And we're just it's just a group for parents to come and talk about parenting issues through a secular lens. So if that's something that you know, sounds interesting to you, then join us. There's also the Feminist Book Club, Saturday, June 26th at 11 a.m. Does someone want to talk about that? Feel free to hop on the mic or pop something in the chat.
Yeah,
Pop or pop.
We're still working our way through how to do the work. It's a wonderful, dense book, so we've probably got this one and one more session on that book. Feel free to join us part of the way through. No need to have done the first half. You can either catch up or hop in part of the way through.
Excellent. And next one is the Help Make It Happen, which is what we just called our assembly planning meeting that I had already mentioned. That's going to happen next Sunday. We put a tentative time of 7 o'clock. I don't think this is even on Meetup yet though, so this might change, but yeah, we'd love to strike while the iron's hot. So if you want to join us next week, that would be great, and we'll go from there.
I can confirm it is on Meetup as assembly planning meeting.
Oh,
So just
beautiful. Yeah. There we go. It is there. Thanks, Jared. And oh no, it's not the last one because I'm just reading the left side. So look at all that. So great. Story time and craft is next Sunday in the morning. I should have flipped those, shouldn't I? And Ashley, do you want to talk about that at all? Or is Ashley still here? I don't know. Maybe not. So yeah, that's just a cool little event.
Yes, sorry. I was about to talk while I'm still muted. Ashley stepped away, so she's not in front of the computer right now.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah, the story time and craft is just, you know, I think I explained it earlier. It's just we read a story for the kids and we do a little craft that's related. So if that's something that you find interesting, join us there. We've got the mixed group virtual documentary night. That's at the same time as help make it happen. So I don't know, maybe we might need to move something around. Look at how well I've planned this all. But anyway, does anyone want to talk about that? Is there someone here that could put some words to this, or if not, that's fine.
It's hosted by someone who is not like directly in this group, and he invites all sorts of different groups to join.
Gotcha.
You watch a documentary and you talk about it.
Okay. So join that if that interests you. The Anti-Racism Action Group is meeting Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Anything anyone in that group wants to talk about? Open to it. Anna, I think if
Anna's
you're
talking but is muted.
Mhm.
You want to go for it? Oh,
Okay. We're a group of people who we're doing anti-racist action. And so that means things like reading books and sharing what we learn. It's donating to anti-racist groups and many other things. And so it says here that we're meeting on the 29th. So that's not this Tuesday, it's next. Is that correct? Anyway.
I don't know.
Yes, that's what it says.
I think it might be in 2 days, and we might be a little bit off. But anyway, we do it every 2 weeks.
Oh,
Okay. All right.
okay,
Hey, guess
cool.
what?
Thanks.
It's on Meetup. It's all on Meetup.
Mhm.
Yes,
It'll be
yes.
okay.
That's cool. Yeah, this little slide here may not be perfect, just like us as individuals may not be perfect. But if you look at our website, which is our Meetup, page there, which at the bottom you'll see it, meetup.com/all those words. If you go there, then you can see everything that's sort of official and everything. But there's a couple more here: virtual mindfulness meditation, and then the virtual walking mindfulness meditation. I assume these things are related. And so every other Monday at 7 p.m. and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Does anyone here want to talk about that?
So they are not related. They are
Oh, I'm
just
sorry.
two separate spaces. That's fine. Different places to practice mindfulness. But yeah, I host the Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. every other Monday. And I know Joanne has diligently been in that space for the walking mindfulness or virtual mindfulness meditation at that other time.
Joanne has told me that she is interested in going back to in person. I doubt it'll be every week. So for now, I think it's probably in a holding pattern, and then she's going to transition to in person whenever she is able. So look forward to some walking thoughtfulness or not thoughtfulness, depending on how you define mindfulness.
Excellent. Cool. So that's what we've got on the board now. But again, check out Meetup and make sure you stay in touch with everything. So I think that about does it, except for our last song. So I don't know if Ross, if you want to yeah. So cool. But thank you all for coming tonight.